It's always fun to wake up in the morning and find out that you've won the Super Bowl, or possibly this season, we'd be talking about the World Series. But once that afterglow is over, now you have to start thinking about what happens next. And that's what the market is asking itself this morning. Anyway, we did get the good news this morning, 497,000 shipped. That was way over the 447,000 that the market was expecting. It was close to the number that the betting market had, though. They had been as high as 510. They came down to 490 before the end of the night last night, but they were under the number two. And of course, the whisper number that you and I were whispering out there was maybe in the 470 as a minimum number. My number was 470 to 505. Brian Wong, he came in pretty darn close, and he's taken a victory lap this morning. Also on the gigawatts deployed, which nobody really cares about, but they should. 12.5 gigawatts deployed. I was a little bit high at 13, and others were 12.5. There was quite a few people that were right at 12.5. Anyway, I'm sticking with my 17 gigawatt hours in quarter four. In fact, I think the potential for the 17 gigawatts in quarter four became greater right now, because this number came in a little lower. That means that the choppiness is going to be inclined to give us a bigger number now in quarter four. So I asked Grok, I said, okay, now as a result of all of this, where does that put us for profits for the fourth quarter? Grok says, well, the profits should be about 65 cents. That would be compared to the street estimate at 49 cents. Well, that's going to be a good deal. Now, I'm a little bit stronger than that. I'm saying more like 75 cents, and that's because I looked at Grok's sales margins on cars, and I'm thinking that it's going to be better than that because Tesla didn't have to give anything away in order to get these numbers. So anyway, I'm thinking we come in at 75 cents, but 65, 75, either way, that's a bunch ahead of the 49-cent street estimate. And what does that mean? That means all of the various pundits are going to have to raise their EPS, and they're going to have to raise their stock price targets because of this beat. So that's what's going to happen over the next 3 weeks as we get closer and closer to the meeting. And as that happens, the stock is going to go up and up. What about today, Randy? Well, let's see, last time I checked, we were down just a little bit. I wonder why. Let's do a little bit of analysis of why we're down this morning, or why we're down for the moment. Because remember, we opened at about 470, and then we've moved down from there into a little bit of a loss. I think the most loss I saw was a couple, $3. So what's going on? Well, you could probably tell me all this. I'm not going to tell anything you don't know, but let's start with number one would be profit taking. So there's a whole bunch of people that were watching this action and going, hey, I'm going to jump in for the short term. You know how that works. And that's some people with, buying the stock, other people with buying options, etc. So there will be a whole bunch of people that are pretty thrilled because let's see, just for fun, let's look at it. We have over the last week, we are up 5.6%. If you made 5.6% in a week, would you be like, hey, that's pretty good. Let me get out. How about the month? 37.32 in the last 30 days. Would that be enough of a reason to say, hey, if I'm a day trader and I'm not really in it because I love the stock, would that be a good reason for getting out? Well, 37% in 30 days, that's a pretty good deal. Wait a minute. What about if I go for 3 months? I'm really kind of a medium-term buyer of Tesla, and I'm up 44.63%. Oh, then profit taking becomes really sensible. Maybe I'm in it for 6 months. Then I'm at 61% profit. What if I'm in for a year? 83% profit. So there's all kinds of reasons. I mean, how often do you get those kind of profits? If I could tell you right now that you get an 83% profit by investing in Tesla stock right now over the next 12 months, would you buy it? Heck yeah, you would. And by the way, I think you will. I think you'll get more than that over the next 12 months. But there you go. So profit taking will be another reason. Okay, then there's this one. Maybe you think about this reason. Maybe you didn't think about this reason, but this is the what have you done for me lately reason. But Randy, we just blew off the number. We just got the greatest numbers ever. Yeah, but now what does the stock market do? What do wise investors do? They're looking ahead. Now they should be looking ahead a year. And if they were looking ahead a year or 2 years or 5 years, they'd say the stock is worth $3,000 right now. That's my opinion because of what's going to happen. Okay, maybe if you're looking ahead a year, you'd say the stock is well priced. That the price, this is a very good price considering what's going to happen in the next 12 months. But what a lot of people are looking at is next quarter. So okay, you got to have a great quarter, but how are you going to do it again next quarter? Well, let me tell you something. Let me just analyze it real quick for you. We just hit 497,000 cars. I think we're going to hit 497,000 cars again this quarter, and I could be right or wrong or whatever, but China numbers are going to be better. It's fourth quarter. European numbers are going to be better. It's fourth quarter. US numbers might be less, maybe, but most people are saying if they're less, it might be by 40 or 50,000, some of which will be picked up by those European and Chinese numbers. So that's where Brian and I are both agreeing again. We're both saying, no, we think it'll be a mirror image. We're going to have about the same numbers. Now, we could actually be higher because maybe the Model Q comes out and maybe it really is at 35,000. And if that happens, I think the Model Q will sell quite well. And that will help those numbers. And maybe we go over 500,000. But either way, we're talking about a couple of pennies a share. I mean, probably. I mean, I don't think we're going to be down 100,000. I don't think anybody thinks we're going to be down 100,000. So we're talking a couple of pennies a share. Meanwhile, the energy numbers are definitely going to be up because Shanghai is going to be shipping a lot more product. And I think that at 12.5, we really didn't capture all of the potential that we have just out of the U.S. market as well as the power walls, which would be 11 by itself. So we really only picked up, if we had an average month, 11 would be just from Lathrop and power walls. So that's only 1.5 out of Shanghai. We're still not capturing Shanghai yet. So we could have a substantial increase in energy for the fourth quarter, and that's going to be worth 20 cents a share, or not maybe the nickel we might lose on cars. Therefore, I'm saying fourth quarter profits are going to be higher than third quarter profits. Therefore, as people start to figure this out and the various analysts start to make their predictions about the full year, they're going to have to raise their predictions for the full year too. Now, that's just me. That's what I think. Let me know in the comments whether you agree with anything that I just said. But there are people right now that are saying, oh, great, third quarter, but what's going to happen to the fourth quarter? Remember that Elon did say it would be choppy and that it might be difficult because of the end of the $7,500 tax advantage. We're also going to lose a little bit on some of those ZEV credits. So that's going to impact us. And so there's a bunch of stuff that, up and down a little bit here and there. Again, I'm at 75 cents. Grok is at 65. We'll see how all that works out. Now then, in addition to all of that, we've still got plenty of catalysts, right? I mean, still to come this week, theoretically, is FSD 14. Any minute now, we could be getting FSD 14, and we're going to start to see those videos roll out. When those videos start rolling out, hopefully there's something tangible, because it might not be that tangible because FSD 13 is great. So we're going to have to see tangible results from these videos in order for the FSD 14 to really have an impact. And then any day now, could be this week, could be next week, could be later in the month, Model Q is going to roll out for what markets? We don't even know. Is it going to be all three markets? Is it going to be only Shanghai? Is it going to be Shanghai and Germany? We don't know. But those are two massive potential catalysts that are coming shortly. So what happens next with the stock? Well, okay, let me start with, I think today we will be up. I'll look at a minute. We'll tell you in a minute where we are right now, but I think we will end up being up. Will we get back to 470? Maybe. Very, very possibly we'll get back to 470 as people start to ferret it out. Remember, there's always knee-jerk reactions. Knee-jerk reaction First thing was to get it to 470, knee-jerk reaction. Next thing was to drop it to 455 or whatever the number was. Then you get the day progresses and people go, okay, let me think about this. I should buy some more. I should get in on this price. It's probably my last chance at these lows. Because why? What would cause the stock to need to go down and test like 440 again or 410? Well, sometimes the overall market, sometimes some really bad news that comes out of the blue, but there's not much right now in terms of downward pressure. So I would say, yeah, we could probably go back up today, although I don't think 470. Could we be at 470 tomorrow? Yes, I think we could be 470 tomorrow. As we get closer and closer to the meeting, we will move now towards 500. Unless there's some major negative news, we will be headed, or let's say that there's, for some reason, FSD 14 doesn't come out. It's late. That could start chopping the market. What about the Model Q? Maybe there's no news about the Model Q for 2 weeks. Well, that you can start to see some market softness as a result of that. But if we get those, and then as I mentioned, we'll start getting these analyst revisions, we're going to move towards 500 before the meeting, and maybe even higher. We could literally be over 500 going into the meeting. And I think 2 or 3 days after the meeting, we will definitely be about 500 and heading towards 600 going to the November 6th shareholders meeting. So that's a rough estimate of how I think things are going to play out. All right. So again, I just want to point out, I saw some more information this morning on Model Q that I think is just people guessing. I don't think anybody really knows, but I did see this morning somebody saying the Model Q would be 35.9. I would much rather be 34.9, but hey, probably $1,000 doesn't matter that much. Gene Munster was interviewed on CNBC yesterday. He says the end of the tax credits are good for Tesla. He says maybe this is maybe we got 40,000 extra vehicles this month because of the pull forward. And that is possible. And then we would have gotten some extra for the fourth quarter because why? Because people were still able to order it up until the 30th, even in taking delivery in December. So there's going to be some pull forward into December for that. So I'm saying maybe if we get the Model Q in the United States, we might have a 500 plus fourth quarter. If not, we might have a little bit less, maybe 40,000 less in the fourth quarter, although the fourth quarter is also good for the United States. So anyway, that's kind of the range that we're talking about. He says also the people are surprised by how good FSD is. The people that he's talking to right now, these are anecdotal situations, but he says the people he's talking to are saying FSD is amazing, and he thinks that that's going to start to impact sales. I don't know who would have said that, especially when we get to unsupervised. That's going to just change everything. And again, people are now arguing, well, maybe Elon was a little early on that too. We'll see. We still got 3 months to go here. But FSD is amazing. And so people that are testing FSD are buying. And that could increase sales both here and in China, where they have FSD now, Australia, they have FSD, and maybe some of the European countries will, I don't know if we'll get it in the fourth quarter, but by next year for sure. All right, the other country, he says, he goes on to say, the other car companies have pulled back on electric. This is helping Tesla. So General Motors, Ford, Volkswagen, and Toyota have all made statements that they're pulling back on full electric vehicles. Well, that helps Tesla to the extent that people want to get into electric. And he says, look, nobody's going to be putting fully automated driving on gas vehicles. So if you're not in the electric vehicle business, then you're being hurt in terms of what you can do with FSD or something like FSD. So he says this is bad thinking in terms of the long term, that this is going to, oh, really? Good job. That's the way to go. That is exactly right, Gene. You are 100% right. We're definitely talking about a transition between now and the end of 2028, where the vast majority of people will be switching or thinking about switching to being only taken around town by a robotaxi and or having one vehicle instead of two, and the rest of their travel by robotaxi. He says a breakthrough moment is coming. The breakthrough moment is coming. There's going to be he says it hasn't happened yet. It's a slow uptick now. We got more and more people taking FSD. He says a breakthrough moment is coming. Watch for it. He also says Tesla's the only car company that's profitably making BEVs. Now that he may have been talking about the US market, but if you got US and Europe, for sure, nobody's profitably making BEVs. You go to China, maybe BYD is profitably making BEVs. It's not clear that they're profitably making BEVs. So he says Tesla's the only car company, definitely the only car company making massive profits, like $7,000 a vehicle before you add in the FSD. He thinks autonomy in the US is between Tesla and Waymo only. And I'm sure, again, he's talking about the US only, because in China, there are people that are maybe going to be able to compete. It's not clear yet because Tesla's so far ahead in China. But in terms of the United States, it's between Tesla and Waymo maybe has 5,000 vehicles next year this time. And Tesla will have 9 million or 10 million, something like that, 11 million. That could be potential robotaxis. He thinks there will be more He thinks that right now that there's more interventions in Austin than Tesla expected. And that's why it's been slower to take out the safety driver and add more vehicles. He could be right. Or, if you listen to Phil Beisel just says, hey, the engineers are tinkering. They're playing. They're like, okay, let's try this, let's try that. And they want more time to tinker. My dad was a tinkering engineer. That's what he did. I know all about that kind of engineer. This is Randy Kirk, by the way, in case you haven't figured that out yet. Please do all the things you're supposed to do. In particular, if you liked my estimates and the fact of how close I was on things in terms of the stock price, in terms of the deliveries, in terms of the energy, etc., it's time to join Patreon. The GDP now number came in at 3.8%. They changed that. They dropped it down by just 0.1. So 3.8 is the final number for the month. Now, they'll continue to make this estimate. But here's what they said. After this morning's release from the Institute for Supply Management, the ISM, a decrease in the nowcast of third quarter real personal consumption expenditures growth from 3.4 to 3.2 was partially offset by an increase in the gross private domestic investment. So we've got the companies are investing like crazy right now. And they increased that from 4.1 to 4.2. That is how we come up with a new number of 3.8. He says, of course, the U.S. government is now shut down. Did you know the U.S. government shut down? And as a result of them being shut down, do you know that we're not getting some of the numbers that we would normally get? So now we're flying blind. Or maybe it's better because the numbers are so ridiculously off and they're so stupid. The CPI numbers are ridiculously wrong. You've got the employment numbers that they revise completely and change them by 50%. So what use are these numbers? We might be better off without them. The Truflation folks, who probably have the right numbers, have made their monthly adjustments, which they commonly do, and they've taken them up a little bit to 2.2%. So if we're at 2.2%, that's good. And remember, 0.4% of that would be tariffs. So that means we're really at 1.8. Trump is back at 47%. So he's been vacillating between this 47 and 53%. Of course, you and I probably agree he should be in the 60% if people were honest. All right, here we go. See, Tesla is already back up this morning. I'm sorry, it depends on what I look at here. I was looking at the wrong thing. Tesla is still down 1.65% at 452. Now, if I told you 4 weeks ago that we'd be at 452, you would say, hallelujah. Anyway, we're at 452 right now. We've got the Dow down 0.14. We got the NASDAQ up 0.27, S&P down 0.04. All of these, of course, are very, very close to all-time highs, including Tesla, which is only 5% off of all-time highs itself. 6% maybe. Okay, we've got the Magnificent Seven are mixed with Amazon and Microsoft down. NVIDIA up 1.44 at 189.93. Call that 190. A lot of people saying it's going to 200. I would not be surprised, but I don't. It's not based on anything other than, yeah, it looks like it could do that. The VIX at 1633, up a little bit this morning. The Cathie Woods are actually all up this morning, which is odd because the bonds are struggling to stay under 410. We'll see that in a second here. Let's go ahead and take a look. So bond, 10-year bond, yeah, 411.3 up. I'm sorry, it's what did that four? I'm sorry, I completely did that wrong. No, it changed. That's why it changed. As I'm looking at it, it changed. It is at 410.8. So that's only up 0.2 basis points. So 410.8. As I mentioned, we got to be under 4 by the end of the month. I think it could happen sooner than that. It just changed again. Now we're at 410.6, 4.106. So that's good. We're moving in the right direction. We'll see what happens as the day progresses. But the short terms are all down nicely this morning, and that's really, really good because that's the end of the market that we really now. Okay, we do need the 10-year because that's going to impact mortgages. But having these shorts come down as much as they are is extremely good news for small business, for the regional banks, manufacturing, stuff like that, durable goods, even automobiles, all that it's good for all of those things. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the numbers here. We have got oil at this point down a little bit more this morning, down 47 cents at 61.31. Natural gas still up a little bit, almost $3.50, 3.48. Gold is down finally, down 14.50 at 38.84. Silver also down 1.86% at 46.79. And copper continuing up, 0.58 up at $4.91. Got the dollar mixed. We got Bitcoin up another 2,000 at 119,498. Bitcoin looking like it may be making a run here. And Ethereum is up even more than Bitcoin this morning, up 1.71 at 44.05. So that is what's happening. And no news on the shutdown. I just checked the headline. And let's go back and okay, what's happening later today? So later today, you have got Bradford Ferguson. Will be at the regular 5 o'clock hour, roughly, actually a little earlier, maybe around 4:30, something like that. And then later tonight, I've got a CERN special, a very unique CERN special, which could be, no, so there's two possibilities for tonight. It'll probably be the CERN special. I've also got a special with Larry Goldberg and Bradford Ferguson, but I'll probably run that on Friday night or Saturday morning. So we'll see. Anyway, but we got a couple of specials, unique videos coming in tonight at the 7 o'clock hour. I'll have to pick between those. And then last night, if you didn't see it, it was, oh yeah, it's right. I ran it really late, but you guys really liked it. It was with Matt Smith, and Matt Smith did a great job. And if you take a look back at that Matt Smith video, you'll see that he predicted a lot of stuff right, but there's a lot of good stuff that didn't really have just to do with today's numbers. I'll put the card up if you want to go back and check that out. All right, so let's go ahead and take one more look at Tesla. It is now picking back up just a little bit, not quite as much down as it was a minute ago. I think we'll end up in the green today. That's my best guess. That's a guess. None of this is investment advice. Always keep that in mind. But sometimes I do guess, and other times I'll say this is a firm analysis based on analysis. I'm telling you that this is where I really believe we're going to be. I don't know where we're going to close today, but my best guess would be we close up, I'm going to say between 460 and 470 by the end of the day. That's my guess. All right, that's all I got for you right now. As always, it's been great talking to you, especially today.